daily Bible reading for, I don't think I did yesterday. So, May 22nd, uh, 2026. Let's get into the word. The temple's interior. 1 Kings 6:14 through 38. So Solomon finished building the temple. The entire inside, from floor to ceiling, was paneled with wood. He paneled the walls and ceilings with cedar and used planks of cypress for the floors. He partitioned off an inner sanctuary, the most holy place, at the far end of the temple. It was 30 feet deep and was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. The main room of the temple outside the most holy place was 60 feet long. Cedar paneling completely covered the stone walls throughout the temple, and the paneling was decorated with carvings of gourds and open flowers. He prepared the inner sanctuary at the far end of the temple, where the Ark of the Lord's Covenant would be placed. This inner sanctuary was 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with solid gold. He also overlaid the altar made of cedar. Then Solomon overlaid the rest of the temple's interior with solid gold. He made gold chains to protect the entrance to the most holy place. So he finished overlaying the entire temple with gold, including the altar that belonged to the most holy place. He made 2 cherubim with olive wood, each 15 feet tall. Placed them in the inner sanctuary. The wingspan of each cherubim was 15 feet, each wing 7.5 feet long. The 2 cherubim were identical in shape and size, and each were 15 feet tall. He placed them side by side in the inner sanctuary of the temple. The outspread wings from each reached from wall to wall, while their inner wings touched at the center of the room. He overlaid the 2 cherubim with gold. He decorated all the walls in the inner sanctuary and the main room with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid the floor in both rooms with gold. The entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made double doors of wild olive wood with 5-sided doorposts. These double doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. The doors, including the decorations of cherubim and palm trees, were overlaid with gold. Then he made 4-sided doorposts of wild olive wood for the entrance to the temple. There were 2 folding doors of cypress wood, and each door was hinged to fold back upon itself. These doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid evenly with gold. The walls of the inner courtyard were built so that there was 1 layer of cedar beams between every 3 layers of finished stone. The foundation of the Lord's temple was laid in mid-spring in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. The entire building was completed in every detail by mid-autumn in the month of Bul during the 11th year of his reign, so it took him 7 years to build the temple. May 22nd, Solomon builds his palace. 1 Kings 7:1 through 12. Solomon also built a palace for himself, and it took 13 years to complete the construction. One of Solomon's buildings was called the Palace of the Forest of Lebanon. It was 150 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There were 2 rows of pillars. Great cedar beams rested on the pillars. The hall had a cedar roof above the beams. On the pillars were 45 side rooms, arranged in 3 facing each other. All the doorways and doorposts had rectangular frames and were arranged in sets of 3 facing each other. Solomon also built the Hall of Pillars, which was 75 feet long and 45 feet wide. There was a porch in front along with a canopy supported by pillars. Solomon also built the throne room known as the Hall of Justice, where he sat to hear legal matters. It was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. Solomon's living quarters surrounded the courtyard behind this hall, and they were constructed the same way. He also built similar living quarters for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. From foundation to eaves, all these buildings were built from huge blocks of high-quality stone, cut with saws and trimmed to exact measure on all sides. Some of the huge foundation stone were 15 feet long, and some were 12 feet long. The blocks of high-quality stone used in the walls were also cut to measure, and cedar beams were also used. The wall of the great courtyard were built so that there was one layer of cedar beams between every 3 layers of finished stone, just like the walls of the inner courtyard of the Lord's temple with its entry room. Furnishings for the temple, 1 Kings 7:13 through 51. King Solomon then asked for a man named Huram to come from Tyre. He was half Israelite, since his mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father had been a craftsman in bronze from Tyre. Huram was extremely skillful and talented in any work in bronze, and he came to do all the mental work for King Solomon. Huram cast 2 bronze pillars, each 27 feet tall and 18 feet in circumference. For the tops of the pillars, he cast bronze capitals, each 7.5 feet tall. Each capital was decorated with 7 sets of latticework and interwoven chains. He also encircled the latticework with 2 rows of pomegranates to decorate the capitals over the pillars. The capitals of the column inside the entry room were shaped like water lilies, and they were 6 feet tall. The capitals on the 2 pillars had 200 pomegranates in 2 rows around them beside the rounded surface next to the latticework. Huram set the pillars to the entrance of the temple, one toward the south and one toward the north. He named one on the south Jachin and the other on the north Boaz. The capitals on the pillars were shaped like water lilies, and so the work on the pillars was finished. Then Huram cast a great round basin, 15 feet across from rim to rim, called the sea. It was 7.5 feet deep, about 45 feet in circumference. It was encircled just below its rim by 2 rows of decorative gourds. There were about 6 gourds per foot, and all the way around they were cast as part of the basin. The sea was placed on the base of 12 bronze oxen, all facing outward. 3 faced north, 3 faced west, 3 faced south, 3 faced east, and the sea rested on them. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick, and its rim flared out like a cup of and resembled a water lily blossom. It could hold about 11,000 gallons of water. Huram also made 10 bronze water carts, each 6 feet long, 6 feet wide, and 4.5 feet tall. They were constructed with side panels braced with crossbars. Both the panels and the crossbars were decorated with carved lions, oxen, and cherubim. Above and below the lions and oxen, there were wreath decorations. Each of these carts had 4 bronze wheels and 4 bronze axles. They were supporting posts for the bronze basins at the corners of the carts. These supports were decorated on each side with carving wreaths. The top of each cart had rounded frame for the basin. It protected 1.5 feet above the cart's top like a round pedestal, and its opening was 2.5 feet across. It was decorated on the outside with carvings of wreaths. The panels and carts were square, not round. Under the panels were four wheels that connected to the axles that had been cast as one unit with the cart. The wheels were 2.5 feet in diameter and were similar to chariot wheels. The axle, spokes, rims, and hubs were all cast from molten bronze. There were handles at each of the four corners of the carts, and these were cast as one unit with the cart. Around the top of each cart was a rim of 9 inches wide. The corner supports and side panels were cast as one unit with the cart. Carvings of cherubim, lions, and palm trees decorated the panels and corner supports wherever there was room, and there were wreaths all around. All 10 water carts were the same size and made alike, for each was cast from the same mold. Huram also made 10 smaller bronze basins, one for each cart. Each basin was 6 feet across and could hold 220 gallons of water. He set 5 water carts on the south side of the temple and 5 on the north side. The great bronze basin called the sea was placed near the southeast corner of the temple. He also made the necessary wash basins, shovels, and bowls. So at last Huram completed everything King Solomon had assigned him to make for the temple of the Lord. 2 pillars, the 2 bowl-shaped capitals on the top of the pillars, the 2 networks of interwoven chains that decorated the capitals, the 400 pomegranates that hung from the chains on the capitals, 2 rows of So you get it. All the stuff he built. Okay. Huram made all these things of burnished bronze for the temple of the Lord, just as King Solomon had directed. The king had them cast clay molds in the Jordan Valley between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon did not weigh all these things because there were so many. The weight of the bronze could not be measured. Solomon also made all the furnishings of the temple of the Lord: the gold altar, the gold table for the bread of presence, the lampstands with solid gold, 5 on the south and 5 on the north, in front of the most holy place, with flower decorations, lamps, and tongs, all of gold. The small bowls, lamp snuffers, bowls, dishes, and incense burners, all of solid gold. The doors and entrances to the most holy place and the main room of the temple with its fronts overlaid with gold. So King Solomon finished all his work on the temple of the Lord. Then he brought all the gifts his father David had dedicated, the silver, the gold, the various articles, and then he stored them in the treasuries of the Lord's temple. 2 Chronicles 3:15, 4 through 22. For the front of the temple, he made 2 pillars that were 27 feet tall, each topped by a capital extending upward another 7.5 feet. He made a network of interwoven chains and used them to decorate the tops of the pillars. He also made 100 decorative pomegranates and attached them to the chains. Then he went up the 2 pillars at the entrance of the temple, one to the south of entrance and the other to the north. He named one on the south Jachin and the other one Boaz. Yeah, alright, that's it for today. Thank you.